It's 1991. Birds and people are living together in seemingly perfect harmony. Until one day, a young man catches fire. This is Phoenix.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Game Week 7 deadline stream, which is probably going to be a little bit calmer than last week, considering I'm basically locked in. No transfers to be made unless we get some last-minute team news. But given that Liverpool and Palace are the only early kickoff and the only Liverpool player I've got is Trent, there's probably not going to be massive problems for me. And if Trent's benched, I'll just play Pinnock instead and then really hope that Lewis is going to start, which he probably won't. Sorry, here we go again. Yes. I'm a bit out of it this morning. I'm not completely with it. I'm in work this morning. If any Diaz news could be put on screen, would be greatly appreciated. Yeah, I'll put it on if we get anything. I mean, why are people so worried about Diaz? I thought everyone was telling me there's no way he'd be benched. That confidence is not quite there anymore. I think it's probably more likely he'll start, but we probably will find out later. Liverpool, one of the teams we often get news for. Whether or not it's reliable news, we'll have to wait and see. Am I hungover? No, I'm not. Diaz is predicted to be benched. Predicted by who, though? Like he's not playing 90 minutes every game, so he could easily start. But obviously he's played midweek, so he could get benched. I'm new to fantasy football, and each week I've been copying your team. But for some reason, you have 1.3 million more than me. I probably just made earlier transfers. Can I expect another Harwood Bellis 7-pointer? I hope not. That'd be an absolute nightmare. Because that means either Saka hasn't scored or Gabriel and Raya have conceded. Is Havertz worth having in your team for the next 2 weeks? Havertz is a really good option, but I think personally, I'd rather have Havertz this week. I'd rather have Solanke from next week onwards, I think. That's kind of how I feel about it. Like, if I'd started with Havertz on wildcard 6, which was a last-minute dilemma-ish, I would have probably been doing Havertz to Solanke in Game Week 8. Alan, new member, by the way, thank you. Are you going to make any more transfers? I've not made any this week, and I'm definitely going to roll. Chances of Duran starting, a little bit higher than normal, I would say, because of the injuries that Aston Villa have got. I would say if Bailey, Ramsey, and there's someone else as well, I think, who's a little bit of a doubt. If they all miss out and Duran still doesn't start, I think we can put to bed the Duran and Watkins partnership. I'm not sure how often that's going to happen, really. If Bruno gets sent off again, will you concede? Well, Depends, right? If it gets overturned and he's available for Brentford at home, I'll probably keep him. If he's suspended for 3 matches, I'll probably sell him. And I'll have 2 free transfers, so I'll be able to do something a bit more interesting. I think Lewis will start, but Diaz won't. My hope as a non-Diaz owner is that he's benched, but we don't find out. Because everyone will have to start him. I know that's a little bit selfish, but that's what I would love. The chances are we will just find out. And he'll probably start. And he'll do really well because it's Crystal Palace away. Type in the team news. It should be is, not it. Oh, yeah. Isak is out. Is out. According to Eddie Howe, anyway, so he might not actually be out. I don't know if I can... Oh my days. Okay, it should be right now. 2 free transfers and money in the bank to do Diaz and Trent to Palmer and Vardio/Porro if Diaz bench. Thoughts? Quite like it, yeah. Well, as long as you're happy with not getting Solanke, right? Only you can decide that. I mean, selling Trent as part of a 2 transfer move, it's okay, I guess. Yeah, I don't hate that. I mean, I'd rather have Vardio, Porro, and Palmer than the other 2. Because let's say Diaz is bench, right? People will finally realise that it's a possibility again in the future, you know? But if he plays, I think if he plays, that's a really good sign going forward. So there's quite a big... I mean, I think he'll start against Chelsea and Arsenal. I think it's quite likely, but it still wouldn't be a guarantee if he's benched today. Flex. Good luck for this week. Same to you. I took a punt on Savinho last week and already causing me a headache. Well, there's a surprise. God, Man City players, they're just not worth it half the time, are they? They're just really not. Risk 1 more week or start Rodgers. I'd probably just start Rodgers, honestly. Because you know he's going to start. And I'm not sure how likely a chance is there for Savinho to start, really. I'm off to the Arsenal game, Palmer to Saka this week or next. Oh, my days. You can't sell Palmer this week. That would be madness, I think. Even though Saka probably is the better option because of the fixture, but I don't think you can sell Palmer. Thoughts on Evan Nielsen? I probably wouldn't buy him now. Same with Semenyo, any Bournemouth player. The Southampton at home, Leicester away. You know, it's almost gone, and then the fixtures get a little bit tougher then. I think Evan Nielsen could be a really nice option and potentially will just still be on penalties even though he missed the first one. And he's cheap. And Bournemouth are a good attacking side, but I'm not sure I'd be buying him right now. You want a lesser defender and midfielder in your wildcard to fill in for bucks elsewhere. Well, I guess it's Mavididi and probably Fass, right? You don't want to spend more money than you need to on Leicester players, I would say. Have 3 free transfers wildcarded last week. Diaz to Johnson for free versus Brighton's High Line, and have 3 transfers again in the international break. Like with Diaz, I'd only sell him if you think he's going to be benched or you know he's benched. Like he's still a good option this week. I said this would happen, didn't I? It wouldn't take much for people to start thinking that I got so much stick for not going for Diaz last week. And now all of a sudden, as I predicted, 1 blank and then the possibility of a benching, loads of questions about whether to get rid of him. So the decision not to go for Diaz is looking all right now. The decision to go for Fernandes, not so much. Mosquera and Pedro with only 1 playing sub. Smith Rowe, Trent to Van der Ven and upgrade Pedro or roll. Probably just roll, to be honest. As long as you think most of the players in your 11 are going to start, I'd probably just roll. Shall I swap Smith Rowe for McNeil for a -4? Probably not. 26 months, thank you very much. I think Smith Rowe's pretty good from next week. I know it's City away, but I probably wouldn't do it for a -4. Would I keep Eze? Possibly. I know Brennan Johnson's obviously flavour of the week this week. I think he's a good option. I think Eze's just such a hard one to hold on to. It's a bit like Bruno, right? You know there's potential. I mean, maybe less so with Bruno, but you know there's potential returns there. But how long can you keep holding through blanks and price drops? It's a bit of a killer. I still think Eze's probably fine going forward, but if you wanted to sell him, I completely understand it. Martinelli, Bowen or Maddison for a punt this week. I think you've got to take the Southampton at home fixture if it's this week only. I'm helping the in-laws move house. All I want to do is watch the stream. Get on with the house move. On wildcard, I have 6.6 million. Savio or Johnson? I would definitely go for Johnson. Play Livermento or Vandenberg. I think Trippier is fine. So Trippier will probably start again. I'd play Vandenberg, I think. I mean, obviously, we haven't got much data to go on about how nailed Vandenberg is, but I think the fact he started last week is probably a good sign. Is Eze to Gordon a good option? I think Gordon's a nice short-term option. I'm not sure long-term whether I'd want to go for him. Isak's out, so Gordon will be on penalties and play number 9. Should I start McNeil or Smith-Rowe? I would definitely start the guy not playing Man City, I think. I just realised the price changes are not moving, are they? Or are they? Let me just see. No, I don't think they are. Stop. Okay, hopefully that'll move them now. I'm not sure there's really too much more point in me answering the question, why are you still keeping Fernandes? Because I've probably answered it about 100 times this week. And I just think people are just not listening. So it's kind of pointless to keep talking about it. Saka and Konate or Havertz and Trent on wildcard. Neither. Saka and Konate, I guess. No, I don't know, actually. I really don't know. I'll say Trent and Havertz probably, but it's kind of close. I think I would have liked... I mean, Saka... I guess Saka, because I'd want the Southampton game. It's quite close. I think after next week, I wouldn't necessarily want either of those combinations. That's why it's a tricky one. In Burma and Vardy in for Ahmad and Havertz and a -4 hit. I probably wouldn't take a -4 to take Havertz out before he plays Southampton at home. Semenyo to McNeil or Mavididi next week. I prefer McNeil, I think. I think Gusto is flying under the radar. Not really. I mean, no one's talking about him, but I think understandably, right? He was only back last week. They got Liverpool next week. He's probably a perfectly fine. He's quite injury prone though, isn't he? I feel like he's always got like a small issue, or he's always out for a little bit. Vardy against Bournemouth at home or McNeil against Newcastle at home. Oof. I feel like it's got to be Vardy, but I don't know if Bournemouth at home is that much easier than Newcastle at home, to be honest. I feel like I would play Vardy, but I'm not sure it's the right call. On wildcard, Man United fixtures 8 to 13 are fab. Delict, 4th, expected goal involvement for defenders. Anana, a great keeper, triple up. I wouldn't triple up on Man United. I just wouldn't put yourself through it. The fixtures are good, right? I get it. And maybe you could go for 1 or 2 if you really wanted to. I wouldn't go for Højlund. I think there's too much chance that Xerxes plays. Garnacho, in my opinion, should be nailed. But Rashford's just got hooked at half-time midweek after playing well. Like, at least in an attacking sense. I know people weren't happy with his defending for either goal, the first 2 goals. I just don't think you can't guarantee Garnacho starts, but I think for the price, I don't mind him. As for Delict, I wouldn't be massively surprised if Maguire starts against Aston Villa. And if he does, I don't know if it'll be for Martinez or Delict. I would imagine it'll be for Delict. So I'm not sure I would go there. Dallo playing left back. But if Luke Shaw ever comes back, can he then go to right back, or will it be Matt Stewart? I think it's tricky because you're on wildcard, so you've got to make the decision this week. Like, if Ten Hag goes and he's not manager by game week 8, I think people will be a little bit more interested in Man United, but probably only slightly. I wouldn't triple up. Even I wouldn't triple up. I'm not even sure I would double up, honestly. I just don't think I would do it. Did last minute Lewis Rodgers switch last week? That hurt. Feeling like my big decision this week is the same, Rodgers or Lewis. I would definitely play Rodgers this week. Good fixture attacker. Lewis might not even start. I think you've got to go with the guy that's definitely going to start. I mean, I've got a similar dilemma, but with Pinnock and Lewis. But obviously, Pinnock's a lot less upside than Rodgers. If Rodgers starts 90 minutes again, even after a Champions League game, it just shows how good he is. I mean, I've been saying this for weeks. Like, even when he was blanking, Rodgers is just a great option. He was a brilliant 8th attacker at 5 million. Some people would argue that you should just play him every week. I don't hate that at all. So yeah, Rodgers is just brilliant. I just can't bring myself to bench Fernandes or Calvert-Lewin. Was the Mikalenko news fake? He isn't even flagged in FPL. So FPL will only flag if it comes from the club. But I don't think the news is fake. I'd be surprised if Mikalenko starts. 3 free transfers, get Haaland and 6.6 million or retain Salah and Watkins. Feels like a good week to get Haaland. I think with Haaland, it's one of those, if you're going to get him, why not now before Fulham at home? Like, okay, Salah's fine. 6.6 though, who are you buying? Brennan Johnson. Who would I rather have? Haaland, Johnson or Salah and Watkins? It's probably quite close. It probably is really close, actually. I think if you're going to end up getting Haaland next week or game week 9, I would just buy him now, personally. Just get the Fulham game. Vandenberg is probably worth the risk. I don't know if I could sit here and say he's 100% now, but it started last week. Happy days. Mazraoui has been great. He has, yeah. Yeah, again, lots of questions about why I'm playing Fernandes over Rodgers. I'm telling you now, most people asking that question, if they had this same dilemma, they would play Fernandes. I know they'll say they would play Rodgers, but it's easy to say that when you don't have the team. I think if this was your team and you couldn't make any transfers, I'm pretty sure most of you would play Fernandes, no matter what you're about to say and how you wouldn't. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think a high majority of people saying why are you not playing Rodgers over Fernandes wouldn't do that, to be honest. Is Foden a real option now? I think he will start, and this could be the start of a run in the team, but I guess the problem is what happens when De Bruyne is back, which could be after the international break. Foden's still not 100% nailed. Is it worth the money? It depends whether you're willing to take the risk on him, really. But I'm fairly confident he will start this week, but I can't guarantee it. Do I regret buying Fernandes? I mean, not massively. I would rather not have the red card and have to listen to a bunch of nonsense all week. Like lots of people saying, are you keeping Fernandes for the engagement? I'm telling you now, the kind of engagement you get off a pick like that is not the engagement you want. But we'll see over the next few weeks. But again, to go over old ground for the millionth time, if I didn't have Fernandes, I'd probably have Diaz or Eze. I wouldn't be that much better off, you know. Who to start this week, Konza or Davis? Leaf, obviously. Konza, Man United at home. That's a tough one. I'd probably start Leaf Davis because he's more attacking, but I mean, Villa could get a clean sheet. Who to bench, Eze, Calvert-Lewin or Rodgers? I mean, I would probably still bench Rodgers of those, but I think for most people it would be Eze. Rodgers might be on the wing if Duran starts, possibly, or he could be behind Watkins and Duran. You just don't know. Can you please stop going over Fernandes comments? He's not a bad pick, and those who keep asking are not listening to you and haven't watched your videos. I know. It's like a vicious cycle, right? People keep asking, so I keep talking about him, and then it's like, well, could you stop talking about Bruno? Like, I don't know what to do. I'm between a rock and a hard place. You'd be a lot better off if you had Diaz. I mean, I'd be 4 points better off, but like Fernandes got a red card that he shouldn't have got, so whatever, really. If you had Salah, Palmer, and Haaland, who would you captain? Haaland. In draft, get Munoz, Robinson, or Gusto. I mean, if it's a long-term hold, or like even a medium-term, maybe Robinson, to be honest with you. But I think for this week, I'd rather have Gusto and then maybe move him on to someone else afterwards. Is Trossard a good pick on a free hit? Yes. Yeah. Would I sell Smith Rowe? I think anyone thinking about selling Smith Rowe should probably look at the fixtures after Man City. I think he's still a good hold, to be honest. I think it was possibly a mistake me getting rid of him on wildcard. I think long term, possibly. I mean, we shouldn't forget that Semenyo has also got quite a few returns this year. But possibly it would have been better to play Rodgers last week and this week, and then just have Smith Rowe for game weeks 8 onwards. I think Amadou Onana will play. Yes, well, he's available, so presumably he will play. I think he had a bit of a hamstring issue, and he was trying to like stretch it out, and I think eventually they had to sub him. But it wasn't like a hamstring issue where it just suddenly pulled and he had to go off. It was just like it was playing up. It was playing up basically. He kept trying to like stretch it. Vibes are telling me that Bruno will get a haul. I mean, it's unlikely, I would say. But I still feel like I've got to play him. I'm not looking for... I won't be able to watch the first game today, Liverpool game, which is probably good for my sanity. I'm not even bothered. Like, if Salah does well, fair enough. I've made the decision to have Haaland. That's not so bad. But if Diaz starts and smashes it, that's going to be an absolute killer. Trent, Saka, Calvert-Lewin, or Kanate, Palmer, Solanke. Ooh. I think long term, the first one probably works better, but in the short term, I'd probably go the Palmer route, I think, with Solanke. Start one, Greaves, Aina, or Matsurawi. Who's Aina got? He's got a home fixture, no? No, he hasn't, has he? It's away. It is Forest, away to Chelsea. Away to Chelsea, away to West Ham, or away to Villa. I'll probably start. I don't know. I mean, I think they all concede. Greaves, I guess, because on paper he's probably got the easiest fixture. Bruno might get a penalty. Surely the officials will give us a soft one after wrongly sending him off. I'd love that. Honestly, the way the Bruno pick has gone so far, red card gets rescinded, another red card. He'll miss a penalty if he gets one. He'll miss a penalty. I mean, how much bad luck would that be to get a red card that shouldn't have been and then a penalty that he misses? Son for Saka or Son for Palmer? I'd probably buy... I think Saka's better this week, but I think I'd probably go Palmer right now. Is Mikalenko going to score? Mikalenko's probably not even going to play. Supposedly out for a couple of weeks. Trent and Diaz versus Palmer and 8 Nuri. I'd probably rather go the Palmer route right now. What do you think of Cunha as a nice long-term pick? I quite like him, yeah. I think Wolves fixtures from Game Week 10 onwards are pretty decent. He's not... I think with Strand Larsen, like, he should be playing again, right? Like, Cunha's not necessarily playing through the middle, but I still think he's the most nailed and probably is on penalties for Wolves. So I don't mind him. He's a bit more expensive than the likes of Wood, Calvert-Lewin, Danny Welbeck, etc. But, yeah, don't mind him at all. Havertz captain. Sure, if you want to, but I think most people have one of Haaland, Palmer, Salah, or Saka, and I think they're all better. You know me. I'm taking the penalties. Flecken or Kepa or Ramsdale. Flecken probably right now. Would you do Salah to Palmer, Matsurawi to Vardiol for free? I'd be quite tempted to do that for free, yeah. Play Wood if Diaz doesn't start or just sell. I mean, do you want Diaz long term or not? If you don't, then sell him. If you do, then just play Wood. Transfer Henderson to Flecken. Like, I don't mind that transfer. That's actually one that I'd eyed up in Game Week 7 if I didn't wildcard. I suspect for most people that transfer can probably be better used in the future. I don't hate it. Munoz to Vardiol, Eze to Johnson, or both for -4. If I would just do Munoz to Vardiol and not take the -4 personally. If Robertson doesn't start, should I do a -4 to bring in Gabriel or just play Greaves? Again, I'd be tempted just to not take a -4. Bruno wasn't wrongly sent off, so he wasn't wrongly sent off. He just had his red card rescinded. Ten Hag will be gone after the loss to Villa, possibly, yeah. I don't want Man United to lose, but if they do lose, I want Ten Hag to probably be shown the door. It's just gotten... I mean, it's been bad for ages. Like, I said this last season. I can't find the tweet now. I wonder if I deleted it, but like at some point midway through the season, or maybe even longer, or sorry, maybe even further through it, and Man United were basically putting up stats of a mid-table team. And I know people will say XG, expected assists, it doesn't matter, but it does. Like, it's a good predictor. And look what's happening now. He's continuing to be really poor. And I was surprised by how many people were happy that he got the contract extension. I'm not saying like you should sit there and just want a manager out and constantly go on about it. Like, I'm not that kind of person at all, but I was surprised by how many people are happy they got a contract extension, like Man United fans. I get why non-Man United fans were happy about it. I didn't understand why Man United fans were so happy about it. I get it, like he got the FA Cup. It was a really good performance. Deserved the FA Cup as well. Like, we were better than Man City on the day, but It doesn't. The performances were always going to continue to be pretty poor. Diaz and Jackson to Palmer and a 4.5 million forward, or just play Rodgers. I'd probably just play Rodgers. Start one. Wood, Eze, Rodgers. I would probably play Eze ahead of Rodgers, but everyone else would play Rodgers. Let's go with him. I think it's just like I actually don't think Man United really want to sack him, but I think Man United are a mid-table team, though. Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree with that, but that's not where they're aiming to be. And that's not where they... Obviously, what did they finish? Like 8th last year? I mean, the performances, that's why they finished 8th. And so what were they expecting this year? It's like Ten Hag bingo as well. Every single time he gets asked a question about how bad they are, trust the process. We've got a plan. We've won trophies. I get, like, the trophies are good, right? Don't get me wrong, but you can't keep watching Man United play like they have been. Anyway, we probably shouldn't talk about Man United too much. Diaz for Johnson in case Diaz doesn't start. I would wait for news, because if Diaz starts, he's a pretty good option. I think if you've had Diaz since close to the start of the season, it makes a bit more sense why you're maybe looking to get rid of him, because the fixtures are about to turn a little bit. There probably is a bit more doubt about his starting place every single week. But if you picked up Diaz recently, like, you knew this was a potential thing that could happen. So I guess the question is, what's really changed? Like, Brennan Johnson is good, but he's not like must have or anything like that, I would say. What do you think the Man City back four will be? Walker, Vardio, fullbacks, and then Akanji and Diaz, probably. Something like that. I don't think it'll be Lewis. But I still feel like I've got to start him. And if Pigott gets a clean sheet, it's annoying. And I'm going to go back and say, why did I put Lewis in my wild card? I knew these headaches would happen. But hopefully I've got it wrong. Start McNeil or Wood? I would start McNeil, I think. Sold Diaz to Palmer, sold Lewis to Van der Ven, and also have Solanke, Haaland, and Saka in. Thoughts? Wildcard from 6. Sounds pretty good to me. Your team looks good long term. Yeah, I think the team is mostly fine. I'll have 2 free transfers in 8, so I might look at doing something interesting. But I now can't afford Trent and Fernandes to Palmer and Van der Ven, so it gets a bit trickier. And I don't really want to take hits, so we'll see. Start Smith Rowe and Max Kilman. Who would have thought we'd be asking that question a few weeks ago? I don't know. I would probably start Smith Rowe personally, but there's part of me that thinks it should be Kilman. Lars, thank you. You made a mistake with Lewis. I mean, you always said safe picks long term. Maybe. He did start last week, though, to be fair. It's kind of why I put him in. But, yeah. It could end up being a big mistake. How insane is captaining Havertz over Haaland and Saka? People always ask these kind of questions every week. Like, I don't know. It's not insane, but the other two are probably better options on paper. What's the reasoning behind captaincy? Haaland. It's pretty good, basically. Fulham have looked rather good defensively this season. Yeah, but they've not played Man City away, you know. I think we should be careful of thinking that Fulham are now a good defensive team. They might be, but we're only going off a few games where they've already played like Leicester, Ipswich. They've had pretty good fixtures. They conceded 1.54 expected goals to Newcastle, 2.43 to Man United. You know, 0.8 against a Forest team without Gibbs White. I think we need to be careful about what, like. I think when you're starting to worry about captaining Haaland against Fulham at home, not sure about that. You've got cover for Lewis. Yeah, but the problem is if he comes on for a cameo, right? Sure, if he's going to play 90 minutes or 0 every single week, I'm more than happy with him as a pick, but that might not happen. Anyway, like Pinnock will probably concede anyway. It's not the end of the world. I want Raya and Solanke, De Sanchez and Watkins out from -4. No, I wouldn't do that personally. I think both are fine this week. Who you're looking to sell? Who to play? Greaves, Aina, or Mikalenko? Greaves probably. Mikalenko's probably not going to play. You better hope Bruno Fernandes doesn't get another red card. I mean, I kind of hope that none of my players get red cards, to be honest. But like, if they do, what can you do about it, right? I don't have any control over them. If every player has a great game, time for bench boost or save for the doubles. I mean, if Fabianski was starting, maybe I could look at bench boost, but I would probably save it for a bit longer. I see a lot of goals in the Leicester-Bournemouth game, and I see City to win a lot more difficult than people think. I captain Saka, but betting against the robots. Yeah, Saka's a perfectly reasonable captain. I'm not saying like it's absolutely essential that you captain Haaland. I'm just saying I'm not worried about Fulham defence necessarily. Bench one, Porro, Rodgers, Semenyo, Chris Wood. Well, it's between Porro and Chris Wood. I'd probably bench Porro out of those, I think. Would you bench Lewis ahead of Eze and Rodgers? I think I would play the attackers, honestly. Like, oh God, Rico Lewis is just like a headache every week. Like, obviously, the upside could be massive, right? Clean sheet, potential attacker, but you also just might not start. If you've got attackers, I think you've good enough attackers. I think you've got to play them, to be honest with you. Watch Eze score. He might do you. He's a good option still. What would be even more funny than a Bruno? I mean, Bruno red card would be quite funny. A penalty miss wouldn't be quite as funny, but it'd still be a bit funny. Bruno not starting would be hilarious. The nailed 90-minute man. If he didn't start, that would probably be me admitting defeat at that point. Do you think we should start trusting Rashford? Not really. The guy that got hooked at half-time. Are you intentionally sleeping on Palmer? No, I just didn't put him in my wild card. And I'll also say that all these comments about you're sleeping on Palmer, I can't believe you haven't got Palmer. There weren't many of them before the guy scored 4 goals last week. There was some calls about Palmer for sure, but not as many as there has been now. Vardio and Dibbling or Smith Rowe and Van de Ven. I mean, this week. Oh no, Southampton Arsenal away, isn't it? Yeah, this week probably Vardio and Dibbling. Longer term, maybe the other one. A Lewis leak would be handy. Yes, but I don't think we're going to get it, to be honest. Not certain by Vardy, just need rid of João Pedro help. You could look at Danny Welbeck. Depends how much money you've got. Calvert-Lewin is a cheap option. Who's captain, Haaland, Diaz or Palmer? I'm again Palmer for me for sure. Saka and Smith Rowe or Havertz and Mbeumo for -4. Saka and Smith Rowe. Although I'd want to think about how I'm getting Mbeumo soon though. Am I considering any Newcastle players against Everton? No, not really. I don't think it's not even that I don't. It's not that I don't like Newcastle players. Like I think Gordon will be pretty good this week. It's just that I don't really have anyone I want to sell with one free transfer. Like Fernandes to Gordon, it's just delaying a bigger move, I would say. And I've only got one free transfer. Like if I was sat here with 3 free transfers, I probably would look to move something like Fernandes on, knowing that I could just go and get Son or Palmer with 3 free transfers next week. I just don't have them, so. How is Harvey Barnes for a punt? Yeah, again, don't mind it. I think with Newcastle, it's short term though. That's in my opinion, because once Isak's back, and also Callum Wilson might be back after the international break. He's probably not going to start straight away because he's been out for a little while. He would also be reducing minutes of other players. So you've got Everton away, Brighton home, and then it's Chelsea away and Arsenal at home. So 1-2 weeks for Newcastle. I'm not sure. Again, especially with the ability to roll to 5 free transfers, I think there's even more scrutiny on short term moves. Like is Gordon or Barnes worth using a transfer rather than saving it? I'm not sure. Play Wood or Welbeck. I would probably play Danny Welbeck, I think. Did you say Captain Palmer over Haaland? I would go Haaland personally. I think I'd go Haaland, then Saka, and then I said Salah versus Palmer originally. The other way, possibly, if you wanted to. Shall I go Salah, João Pedro, or Palmer, Solanke with a -4? Well, if you can bench João Pedro, you don't need to take the -4, right? I think you have to bring 8 Nuri in if you stay with Trent and Gabriel to have better cover for Lewis. I've got Pinnock though and Greaves. I don't Don't see the point in getting €8. I mean, I might do Trent to €8 next week to fund a move for Fernandes to Parma. That's definitely something I will consider. Although, do I really want to bring in €8 before Man City at home? Probably not. But if I could bench him, maybe. Handy to know who's on penalties for Spurs. Yeah, absolutely. I saw someone make a nice point. Like, I guess it doesn't make Solanke a bad option. But if you have Solanke and Son, you've definitely got the penalty taker. But then one of the other players isn't quite as good as we think they might be. But to be honest, I think Solanke, even without penalties, is fine. Like, he's cheaper than Nicholas Jackson, who is also a good pick and doesn't have penalties. So it's not the be-all and end-all of everything, right? It's nice to have penalty takers, but you can still pick some players that don't take them, right? It's very rare you're going to have 8 penalty takers. I mean, Rodgers, imagine if he was on penalties. I don't think it's completely crazy to think there's a small chance that Rodgers could be on penalties. I think it'll be Tielemans before everyone shouts at me. I know that Watkins has got a chance as well. If Duran's on the pitch, he will probably want to take them too. But I think there is a small, tiny chance that Rodgers could take a penalty for Villa at some point this season. Trent or Wood. You're playing Eze. I still go Trent, I think. Delap or Vardy. I just think Ipswich are maybe a little bit stronger than Leicester right now, so I go Delap. I did Diaz to Palmer, Wood to Stewart, -4 thoughts. I think if you're happy with that, happy days. You got Palmer now, long term. Yeah, it's Tielemans, but we don't know that for sure. Like, you can say that, but you don't know that for sure. Like I said, it probably will be him. His record's very good. He's a good penalty taker, but it's not a guarantee. I'd put like Tielemans at like 60-70% and Rodgers at like less than 5%. Like that's the margins I'm talking about. I think it's possible. That's all I'm saying. If he does take him, then we really have got not quite, but we've got almost like another Cole Palmer on our hands. By the way, I don't know if you saw my tweet last night, but since Planet FPL got me thinking about this when I was listening to James's Friday stream, Cole Palmer got his first start for Chelsea in game week 7 last year. Since then, there's been 38 game weeks, which is obviously the same as there are in a season. And he scored 301 points in that time. The record in an actual season is Salah with 303 points. That's nuts. So he got 244 last year. He got 4 sub appearances for 1 point, no yellow cards. So 240 from game week 7 to the end of the season, and then 61 this year. That's nuts. 301 points Palmer scored. You're looking at that thinking, how the hell do I not have him in my team? It's mad. You know what's going to happen? I'm not going to buy him next week because he's got Liverpool away, so I'm going to be at least another 2 weeks without him. Absolutely crazy. Now, of course, it doesn't count because it's not a full season, but let's see what he does this year. Who's got penalties for Tottenham? We don't know. It's probably Solanke or Son. My money would be on Son, but I mean, obviously with Son out, it's probably going to be Solanke, but long term, we don't know. Probably more likely to be Son. Robertson, Smith Rowe, or Mbeumo Lewis for -4. I wouldn't take a -4 to bring Lewis in. Play Wood or Rodgers. If I go Smith Rowe to Dibbling, should I go Van der Ven to Vardy or Flecken to Raya? Honestly, I would just probably keep Smith Rowe, Van der Ven, and Flecken, and not make a transfer. I mean, if you have to do any of them, I guess I would do Flecken to Raya. And in a worse team, I'd say Palmer versus Salah. Yeah, it's funny in FPL because we go season by season and we always think, okay, it's the same players we're picking. Like, I don't know if anyone else gets this. You always wonder, like, it's almost like there's not going to be another player like Salah, or if we go back in time, like back even further, there's not going to be a player for FPL like Rooney or Gerrard and Lampard. But someone always turns up. Salah it was. Remember when he turned up at Liverpool? Ridiculous first season, and then continued it forever. Like, does anyone else get that? Or am I just saying stupid things? It always feels like you're just not going to have a player like that again, and then bam, someone turns up like Cole Palmer, and you think, okay, but there's not going to be another Cole, but there will be another Cole Palmer at some point. It's very rare that you get someone that bursts on the scene, plays 90 pretty much every week, and has penalties, etc. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see who the next Cole Palmer is. We might not have one for another season or two, but it will happen. I'm really worried about I'm really worried to keep Bruno Fernandes. Sell him. If you don't want him, you should just sell him. Like he's far from essential. Let me just say that. As a Liverpool fan, I'm telling you, get rid of Trent. Liverpool's 1 or 2 injuries away from a disaster. But what's the point in preempting injuries? But they're not in a disaster position, so like that makes no sense. Fulham was 7th best defensive team in the Premier League last season, better than Villa, Newcastle and Spurs. I don't think they were for expected goals conceded. I really don't think that is true at all. Let me see. I mean, if you're talking actual clean sheets, maybe, but that's not what I would use to like predict going forward. So last season, for expected goals conceded... Oh, maybe you're right. 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, 10, 11. They're 11th. They're mid-table. So they're probably a little bit better than I thought. But anyway, like, fine. I'll accept Fulham are not a bad defensive team. We're still talking about Erling Haaland. Like, are we really... This is what I mean by how quickly opinions change. Like a few weeks ago, Haaland's absolutely essential. There's no way you can't captain him. Now we're questioning whether Fulham are so good defensively that we can't captain Haaland at home to them. Like, fine, I'll accept the numbers are a little bit better than I thought, but it's Erling Haaland. Do you know what I mean? Brentford were better defensively for expected goals conceded last year to Fulham, and he just went and scored 2 against them. Like, I don't like Haaland's good. If you don't want to captain him, don't captain him. Like, there's other options. Palmer and Saka and Salah are also good. But yeah, I'll admit defeat on last season's numbers. I thought they were a lot closer to the bottom 5. I wouldn't say they were the 7th best defensive team though. 2 free transfers can do Saka for Palmer and Diaz for Gordon. Thoughts? Whether you've got Palmer or Saka, I wouldn't sell to the other one. So I don't know if you've got Saka or Palmer. Diaz for Gordon. Again, short-term move, maybe. If Diaz starts, I'll just keep hold of him. Haaland's going to make bits of Anderson. Oh, no, that was Darwin Núñez. I was going to say it was Anderson that wound up Darwin Núñez, wasn't it? And he got sent off, I think, in his first season. It's the no De Bruyne and Rodri for me. Saka feels better. Again, I'm really not sitting here telling you have to captain Haaland. If you want to captain someone else, absolutely just captain someone else. Play 2 of Porro, Rodgers and Vardy. I would probably play the 2 attackers in that case. Get ready for Foden lift off. Yeah, Foden's good. Who's the best goalkeeper till game week 12? Possibly Edison. If you want to go cheaper, I'd probably just go for Flecken or someone like that. What time are we estimating Diaz links offline from 10:25? Possibly from 10:25, yeah. I suspect we will get something. There's a couple of accounts that leak news that I think have been wrong in the past but are often correct. So we'll have to wait and see who actually leaks it. News on Timber is I think they have to wait and see, but then it's Arteta, so who knows? I think he's a doubt basically, and not guaranteed to start. But whether he will or not, I just do not know. Like, Arteta's not going to tell us. Jordan, thank you. If I had 2 free transfers, what would I do? I'd probably consider getting Palmer in for Fernandes and getting rid of Trent. But Van de Ven's got up in price, so I can only afford a 4.5, so I'm not really sure who I'd buy, to be honest. Like, I haven't given it much thought because I knew I wasn't going to do it. I think Stones in midfield instead of Lewis. I would captain Haaland. Oh, wait. Okay. Rodgers or Calvert-Lewin to start. I mean, answers on the screen, I would say, for my team, at least. I've been watching the Liverpool matches, and in my opinion, Diaz is the best asset as he's the one who is always pressing, is the most energetic in attack. Diaz is great if he starts. I've not really ever said anything different. The reason he's not in my team is because he keeps getting subbed early, and I think at some point he could get benched for Gakpo, and it might be that he doesn't get benched for Gakpo for like 10 game weeks, and he makes an absolute mockery of that call. But that's the only reason I don't have him. Like, if he starts, he's great. I don't think I've ever said otherwise, really. You can buy Palmer next week when he falls in price. Don't think he's going to fall in price somehow. He'll do well against Forest, I'm sure. Although it will be tougher than against Brighton, I think. Do I like Ten Hag? I don't have anything against him, really. As a person, don't really know him. Vardy or Chris Wood, and why? I'd go Vardy for the fixture. Calvert-Lewin or Aït-Nouri? I would definitely play the attacker, I think, in that case. Like, I like Aït-Nouri. I don't like him that much, though. I mean, Wolves are away as well. I'd see Brentford scoring in that game. Wildcard essential, Haaland, Saka, and Mbeumo, Palmer. Others? I don't think there is anyone else. I'd probably get some Spurs players in, though, because of the fixtures that are coming up, like Solanke, Porro, Van der Ven, Johnson. They're probably all worth looking at. I mean, an Arsenal defender I still think is quite good, although maybe less so after today. In terms of captaincy, everyone's talking about the big four. Why is nobody talking about Mbeumo? Because there's 4 other players that are probably better captains, right? Like, if you look at the stats of Palmer, Salah, Saka, and Haaland, they're all better than him. Like, Mbeumo's amazing, right? He's such a good FPL pick. But there's a bit of a step down, I would say, for captaincy. Mbeumo could easily get a brace against Wolves, of course, but so could all 4 of the other players, right? It's like a tiering system. Like, Mbeumo is probably just the step down there. If you were running a team without like Haaland or Salah, then I guess Mbeumo would then probably be in the top 3-4 options for you. But Saka and Palmer would still be ahead, right? Bench Matoma or McNeil. I mean, Matoma might get some joy up against that Spurs defence, but I think I'd probably just play McNeil, which sounds crazy. Mbeumo's stats post the first minute, not quite so good. When will we get Diaz news? I don't know. Maybe in the next 40 minutes. Maybe not at all. For free, Robertson and Diaz to Aït-Nouri and Foden. No, probably not for me. Don't think so. Start Wood or Rodgers. Rodgers and Diaz and Trent to Palmer and Burn for free. I'm not sure I'd buy a Newcastle defender. But I don't hate it in general for a different 4.5. Martinelli or Foden or Saka for a -4. I wouldn't take a -4. I think Foden's probably the nicer punt over the next few, but he's also more expensive. So I guess you've got to take into account what you would do with the money if you went for Martinelli instead. When is João Pedro coming back? We don't really know. And Hertzler kind of said that Van Heck is out until after the international break. And that he made it sound like João Pedro's injury is worse than Van Heck's. So, presumably, João Pedro's out for even longer. But I don't know exactly when he's back. Captain Palmer or Salah. I think I would go Salah, but I think there's a very good... I can see why people want to go for Palmer instead at home. I said this on the Game Week preview. I think you could probably argue that Palmer maybe is the slightly better pick at home, to be honest. I find it difficult to say that with a very close call, the Salah's still not better. Like, there's a little part, it's like psychological, that I know Palmer's amazing, but I'm not quite there yet in saying he's better than Salah. But I think a lot of people would just go Palmer. Have I got any guesses on what the mystery chip will be in January? My only guess is that the FPL still probably don't even know themselves. That's my guess. I really don't know. I hope. Honestly, part of me just thinks it was pretty stupid announcing it. I know why they announced it, right? Because they want to keep engagement right up until January. Oh, what's the mystery chip? I've got to keep playing. And also, I know that like I'm heavily invested in the game, so my opinion is probably going to be different to the average person that only thinks about their team on a Friday. But it feels a bit rubbish that we don't know what it is, so you can't really plan around it. And then they're probably going to make it so overpowered that I don't know. I just don't know. I don't like it though that much. Maybe I will when it actually gets announced. Should I drop Salah and Isak for Haaland and TK hit? Who's TK? It's a midfielder. TK. Should I know who TK is? Oh, and take a hit. Sorry. Probably not, I would say. But I guess if you really want Haaland for the next 3, I don't hate it. I have Palmer, Salah, Saka, Haaland. Who to captain? I would go for Haaland personally. Salah has a good record against Palace. He does. Once he got benched against Palace when I had him captain. No one was expecting it, I don't think. And then he scored like 2 goals and 1 assist off the bench. And Palmer not so great against Forest, but then Palmer record at home is crazy. Yeah, I wouldn't really worry about records like that personally. For a punt before wildcard, Mavididi or Calafiori? I'd go Calafiori, I think. Apparently, Jota starts according to Grizz Khan. I'd not really seen the leaks from there before, so I'm not sure how legit that is. But, yep. It's been reposted by FPL Hint, so maybe he trusts him. Grizz Khan, not Riz Khan, is trusted. Okay. Start Calvert-Lewin or Porro. I would start Calvert-Lewin. How much longer do we keep Bruno? You keep him as long as you want to. You can get rid of him this week if you want. Calafiori. Am I saying it wrong, am I? Flecken and Greaves or Areola and Vandenberg? Flecken and Greaves, I think. Calafiori. Yeah. You know who I mean. I'll get it right one day. Calafiori. That's Calafiori. That's how I'm doing it. Calafiori. I missed part of the super chat. Thoughts on Kudus? Wait, what? For a punt? Oh, Walker. Kudus. I mean, it's Ipswich. Do you know what? Sure, because it's Ipswich. But generally, I got no interest in Kudus. Like, will he even definitely start this week? Didn't he get hooked at half time? I don't think I would go Kudus. Yeah, he got hooked at half time. It's Ipswich, I get it, but Villa is miles better than Man United, but you know Man United are going to get one of them random good games today. Ten Hag too close to a sack in Bruno brace. Unless, of course, the players have revolted and maybe like isn't there that story that goes around that they reckon Gerrard missed that penalty to get rid of who was it? Hodgson, right? Maybe Fernandes will just blast a penalty over the bar to make sure Ten Hag goes. Honestly, I will if he misses a penalty, I will have to laugh about it. I think it will be generally quite funny. It'll be funny up until the point I have to stream. Wildcard 12, Eze out. Should I get Mbermo or Johnson? Mbermo's the man for me. Like Johnson's great, but Mbermo's like amazing, I think. Captain one of Saka, Palmer, Mbermo, Foden, Saka for me. 13 months, thank you very much. Why have I chosen to play Calvert-Lewin over Rodgers? Just penalties, really. I think Rodgers is great. Rodgers could absolutely outscore most of my attackers. If you've got Rodgers and you're playing him, great decision. I'm just not going to do it. That's all. And if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. If you knew who was starting every week, would you go double Arsenal or double City defense on wildcard? Double City, I think. Just because of the fixtures. So I think, okay, Southampton at home is obviously great, but if we go from now until game week 11, I think City defense is probably better if you know who's starting every week. But I think from now until like 25 or whatever, like long term, I think I'd rather have Arsenal still. I've bit the bullet on selling Semenyo, brought in Johnson. Oof. Okay. Don't mind it, but Semenyo, Leicester away. Decent enough fixture. Yeah, look, if you think Calvert-Lewin's days of scoring are over, simply just bench him or don't buy him. Like again, I'm not telling you he's essential. I'm just telling you why I'm starting him. That's all. You're more than okay to do something different. It's fine. Like I said, I won't get everything right. I'll get a lot of stuff wrong, and sometimes players will blank. It happens. If you weren't a United fan, you might see that Rodgers versus United is a play. I think Rodgers is very good. If you want to play him, you should. I don't think many people in my situation would bench Fernandes. I know they say they would, but I don't think they would. But yes, Rodgers is very good. Man United is a great fixture. I've said that quite a few times. Have I seen FPL Challenge Game Week 8 to 11? If you read the description, they might be changing scoring system to FPL soon. Wouldn't surprise me if they change it a little bit next season. I've not read the description. I've not played FPL Challenge at all. McNeil or Rodgers? That's quite a close one. McNeil's definitely going to play 90 minutes in it. Rodgers probably is as well. That's such a tough call. I think I'd probably play Rodgers. I think the answer should be McNeil, though. I think McNeil, you get a guaranteed 90. Rodgers obviously came off a little bit early last year. I don't think that will necessarily happen this week, though. Maybe Rodgers could be pushed wide. McNeil playing 10. I feel like I would play Rodgers, but I think the answer might actually be McNeil. No Salah, would that affect your rank a lot? It will if he scores a hat-trick, yeah. Duran or Rodgers? Definitely Rodgers. Defensive points are overrated so far. Those who invested in premiums in midfield and attack are way ahead. Yeah. Yep. Start Savio or Rodgers. I think you've got to start Rodgers because he's guaranteed to start. What do I think about Liam Delap? I think he's a nice cheap option. I would not be going out of my way to buy him, though. I think he's fine, but he's not a player you've suddenly got to bring in. I just missed Captain Havertz or Haaland. You missed my super chat. I mean, you know what I'm going to say. you know what I'm going to say. Come on. It's going to be the guy with like 9 goals or something already this season. Havertz is fine if you want to go for him, but I would definitely captain Haaland. I tried to get ahead of the curve with Johnson as regards to ownership. Johnson's good, yeah. He's going to be very popular again next week, I would say. He'll probably be less popular next week if he blanks this week, but I think he's a good option regardless at the moment while he's playing every week. We all have price bias. Lots of people bench 5 million Palmer and 7 million Foden points for expensive blanks last season. I mean, Foden wasn't 7 million, but I get your point. Honestly, I don't see the point. I mean, Calvert-Lewin is a similar price to Rodgers, so I don't think that's really what it is, you know? There's not been any... Well, the only team news I've seen so far is that Jota apparently starts. I've not seen anything about Robertson. You're unlikely to get anything about Lewis either, I would say. Martinelli for 7 million is a steal. I think he's a pretty good option, yeah. Probably less so after this week, though. Trent to Vardio and Semenyo to Brennan Johnson. I don't see the need really to move Semenyo to Brennan Johnson. Like, he's fine if you want to do it, but I think Semenyo is good this week. Trent to Vardio, sure, I guess. I think long-term Trent is better, though. Next few fixtures, maybe you could say Vardio's slightly better with the fixtures they've got. I think if you're selling Trent just to fund Semenyo out before he plays Leicester, I don't really get it. If Bruno blanks again this week, is it time to move him on? I guess it depends, doesn't it? Like if I get a bunch of other injuries and Bruno's still fine, especially if Ten Hag goes, then might keep him. If I've got nothing else to do and 2 free transfers, might sell him. Any news on Luis Diaz? Nope, not yet. You're the Oracle. Where's Diaz? I don't know. Presumably he's in London, about to play Crystal Palace. The only news we've had so far is Jota apparently starts. Oh, that Jota team leak is fake. I saw it on another channel. Why is it fake? Need money on wildcard. Gabriel to Calafiori, Sash Saliba, or Alex Moreno to Hull. I don't know if I'd be buying Lewis Hall right now. He started and he played all right the last game. Maybe he stays in the side, but it ain't a guarantee, is it? I like Gabriel, honestly. I'd probably go Moreno maybe to a 4 million, as long as you haven't got another 4 million. After this week, you should get Palmer. But the problem is Palmer plays Liverpool away next week, so the pool to buy him will be less because of the fixture. Like it's not going to feel great to use multiple transfers to get a player in before he plays Liverpool away. And of course, like he could do well, but it's not going to feel as exciting, right? Maybe I leave it till game week 9. There's a big possibility that I just roll in game week 8 unless there's injuries. Play Rodgers or João. Oh, sorry. Play Rodgers or João Pedro to Solanke for -4. I would just play Rodgers. Palmer is fixture proof. Sure, yeah. Still not going to buy a player before he plays Liverpool away. Why don't you transfer out Trent for Canate to save money? But what would I be using the money for this week? Nothing. So I might as well just keep Trent. Do I think Saliba will drop in price? Let me see. He's currently on -73% on Hub, so he's not that close to a drop yet. That might increase after this week, though, when the fixtures turn a little bit for Arsenal. Bowen captain. I'm not sure I would go. I don't mind Bowen this week, to be honest, just because of the fixture. In my draft on Sleeper, I've made 2 moves to bring in 2 West Ham defenders. And the worst thing is I've got Delap up front because Isak is out at the moment. So I've brought in 2 West Ham defenders, Emerson and Wan-Bissaka, to play against Delap. And I've got Paquetá as well. So I'm all in on West Ham in draft this week. Why is Isak out? Important news. I mean, people might own Isak. I hate this whole fixture-proof idea. No player is fixture-proof. Yeah, I agree. Like it's like people will say players are fixture-proof, and then they'll question whether Fulham is so good defensively that you can't captain Haaland. Like, do you know what I mean? No one's fixed. The fixture-proof is just a nonsense. Like, so it's not nonsense, but I think what people mean by it is not. Like, generally, I think people mean you just play Palmer against anyone. And of course you would. If you had him, you'd play him against Liverpool away. But the idea that Liverpool away is just as good as, I don't know, Everton at home, it's just not true. It's not. Otherwise, we wouldn't have captaincy discussion every week, would we? So I don't like the fixture-proof thing. I know what people mean. They'll just play them against anyone. I get that. But like next week, Palmer owners are not going to captain him against Liverpool away. Why? Because of the fixture. So, yeah, I mean, if he scores another 4 goals this week, plenty of people probably will captain him, but seems unlikely. Think this game could lose Lopetegui his job. Yeah, possibly. I've still gone with it, though. Basically, I had Kirkes left over from last week, and I had Mikalenko, who's now injured.
So I just got rid of both of them. Just taking a punt on West Ham defence. Why not? It could be worse. There's not many other defenders left from good teams. I could have gone for Vandenberg instead, but whatever. I'm going to drop them next week for different players anyway. That's the plan. The latest on Diaz is it's 10 o'clock in the morning. He's got 2.5 hours till kickoff. He's had his porridge this morning. Lots of pasta last night. Good sleep. 8 hours at least. He's maybe played a bit of FIFA. And he's probably already at the stadium, I would say. The news on Mykolenko is apparently he's going to miss out over the international break. So he's probably going to miss game week 7. Palmer has scored as many points against weak and strong opposition. That's my definition of fixture proof. Yeah, fine, but I'm still not going to buy him before Liverpool away, most likely. You know? He's fixture proof, but he blanked against Bournemouth. Like, and I get it. Players can blank. I'm not. Palmer's amazing, right? I don't know how many more times I can say that, but like, I don't think many people would buy him before Liverpool away. That's all. Palmer through the middle is a point. Yeah. Again, Palmer's quite good. I agree. I really wish I had Palmer this week. Why don't I captain Saka? Because I've got Haaland. Is it worth selling Palmer and Saka the coming weeks when they get harder fixtures if you can get them back in 12? I don't know if I would sell both of them. Like 2 transfers to get rid, then 2 transfers to bring them back in. I'd probably keep one. Not quite clear. Do you think Palmer's good? I think Palmer is quite good at football, yeah. He's quite good. What do we do with João Pedro and Eze? I mean, play Eze and bench João Pedro. Depends on how many transfers you've got, what the rest of your 11 is looking like. Like, if I had João Pedro and Eze and I was having to play Smith Rowe because I've got João Pedro, then maybe things get a bit tricky and you sell him. If you can just bench him and the rest of your team looks good, job done, right? Drop Mykolenko and pick up Lewis for a hit. I wouldn't hit Lewis in. You not just bench Mykolenko. Start Rodgers or Carvalho. Definitely Rodgers. I think keeping Eze long term is a good idea. I mean, in theory, yes. The point so far would suggest otherwise. I don't mind keeping Eze. It depends. Like, you could move into Brennan Johnson if you wanted to. But if you're looking at your team thinking, I don't really want to sell Eze this week, he's fine to keep, in my opinion. Have you ever played head-to-head, and is this a different strategy transfer-wise? No, I've not really ever played head-to-head. Palmer 12.5 next season. He'll have to be, yeah, if he keeps this up. He's got to be the same price as Salah. Or at least close to it. Like Saka's taken way too long to go up in price to 10 million, in my opinion. I know he hasn't hit like 240, but he's hit 200, like basically 179, 202, 226. It took way too long for FPL to put him 10 million plus. If Palmer does it again next year, he's got to be, like, even if they don't want to price him the same as Salah, he's got to be 12, you'd imagine. So next year we could have Haaland 15, Salah 12.5, Palmer 12. Saka goes up in price if he hits another 200 plus. Could get even more interesting next year. Or more difficult. Name one player you would love to have this game week. Hoyland? No, I'm messing. I mean, probably Palmer, right? Who do... I've got triple Arsenal already. Foden or Palmer, probably. Who to captain? Haaland, Salah or Palmer? Haaland for me. Salah won't be in the Premier League next season. Possibly, yeah. If he's not, then I think there's even more reason to put Palmer up. Van de Ven or Davis this week? I think I'd play Davis. Start 2 out of Rodgers, Semenyo, Vardy. Probably Rodgers and Semenyo, I think. Oh, I'm still listening to Phoenix. Got to turn it off. Jota or Gordon over the next 3 game weeks. I'm going to say Gordon. Guaranteed minutes, penalties. I'd probably take that. Will we get early news for the City game? Is there a chance? There's a chance, but I would highly doubt it. Like 3 p.m. game. Don't think we're going to see anything. Vardio or Porro on wildcard. Porro seems more fun. I would pick Porro, I think. He's a bit cheaper. And the Spurs fixtures are pretty good. Like, Vardio's decent too, but I think Porro's the better longer term play. Sell Diaz for Johnson right now or keep Diaz and roll. I'd probably roll, especially if he's going to start. 2 from McNeil, Rodgers, Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin and then... I don't know, flip a coin for the other 2. What did I answer earlier? I think I said Rodgers, but I think it probably should be McNeil. Matsurawi or 2 and Zebi. My days. If you own them both, I'd probably play 2 and Zebi. Is Onana playing today? I think both Onanas should play. The Aston Villa one and the Man United one. Onana going to keep a clean sheet against Watkins and Rodgers. You should have held off on Calvert-Lewin. Maybe. Yeah. So lots of people saying, if Diaz is bench, would you sell to Johnson? I probably would, but then I'm biased, right? There's a reason I didn't pick Diaz in the first place, because of this kind of situation. Like, what is your long-term thoughts of Diaz? Do you think he's still an amazing option going forward? If so, keep him. If not, sell him. Oh, Tuanzebe's not in the Congo squad, so probably at that. Oh, my days. Maybe Matsurawi's the one then. Play Konza versus Man United or Greaves versus West Ham? I don't know. I think that's such a close call. Like, if Greaves was at home, I would definitely say him. Can Man United score against Aston Villa? Debatable. I'd probably say Greaves. Does the price drop percentage reset after the deadline? No. It only resets and gets locked, I think, after like a red flag comes off. So like Bruno Fernandes was like minus 70% or something, or maybe lower than that. And then when his red card got rescinded and the flag was taken off, his price got reset and it's locked for like 10 days or something. But yeah, after the deadline, the stuff will still be there. Is it my laptop or is your sound crackling when you speak? I think it's probably okay. No one else is saying anything. You could try a different device, I guess, and see. Bring in Jackson or Solanke. I think I'd go Solanke. I just prefer the fixtures coming up. He's a bit cheaper as well. Surely Rashford is a great pick after his midweek performance. He literally got subbed at half time. I just don't think I could go there. Smith Rowe for Semenyo. I wouldn't. Just like selling Semenyo, do you mean? Definitely not. And if I had Smith Rowe, I'd probably just keep him for the good fixtures next week onwards. McNeil for Smith Rowe for -4. No, I don't think so. Bench one, Eze, Rodgers, Cavalier, and Semenyo or Wood. I would probably bench Chris Wood out of those, which could hurt. Yeah, there's a lot of just close calls this week that could be massive swings either way. Captain for non-Haaland squads in Burmo. I would go Saka, Salah and Palmer in that order, probably. Maybe Palmer over Salah. I can afford him, knowing my luck he will get a price increase, Cole Palmer. He definitely will if he does well this week. If he gets like a brace, or if he gets 2 returns or more, he'll definitely go up in price again. Even if he gets 1, he might, even though it's Liverpool away. Bernardo Silva 1 week punt before wildcard. I'd probably just rather have the extra transfer after wildcard. I don't hate it. Bowen and Eze out for Palmer and Rodgers. Ooh. If you can do that for free, I really like that. If Diaz is out, would you do Diaz and Foden? Diaz to Foden, Trent to Vardy, and Lewis to Aina for free. God, that's a lot of moves just if one player is out. I don't hate. I mean, you're buying players that are. Well, they're not playing. I was going to say you're buying players that are nailed, but what if Foden doesn't start next week? Not sure about that. Diaz or Rodgers? Diaz if he's going to start. Is this available on audio-only platforms? All my stuff is available on podcast, apart from the deadline streams, because ultimately the deadline stream is pretty useless once the deadline hits. It seems kind of pointless listening back to this tomorrow, for example. The only thing the deadline stream is good for after the deadline is for people to come back and comment when any of my players blank, which is what happened last week with Fernandes. Chris Wood or Smith Rowe? Chris Wood this week, I think. Take the penalties. You never know. No Diaz news yet. No. Nothing. Nada. It'll come though. There'll be something that comes out. Newcastle early kickoff. I listen to your deadline streams if I miss it afterwards. Yeah, I'm sure some people do, but it's not. I don't think it's any point putting it up on podcasts, really. Everything else is, though. Like all the other 6 things I do every week, they're all on there. Can we have a Saturday night reaction stream from your channel? No, because then I've got a stream on Saturday night. Like, my job is great, don't get me wrong, but week to week, I do stuff every day, like 7 days a week. Like, I'm streaming now, I'm going to stream tomorrow night as well. I don't also want to stream on Saturday night. I have done the odd Saturday video, but I wouldn't do a live stream. And I haven't done one for a while. Plus, Bruno is playing tomorrow, so that's when the big reaction will be. Do we keep Eze? The hub keeps saying he rocks, but thinking going, yeah. The thing is, like, Eze is like a 90-minute man every single week. That's why models love him. That's why I still think he'll be okay going forward, but I also completely understand that people want to get rid. I didn't post my Champions League team, correct? I forgot to post it. I made one I completely missed that Elise and Lookman was 6.5 million. I had to sell one of my midfielders. I bought in Paxao or something like that from Feyenoord. He did get an assist at least. I think I'm like top 10k in Champions League. I got like 94 points this week or something like that. Captain Salah on the second day after taking it off Haaland. Sell Salah and Eze for Saka and Foden this week. Ooh, don't hate it. So don't hate it. I don't think you need to do it, but I really don't mind it at all. Diaz to Palmer, Trent to Porro. Oof, I love that. Love that. If that's for free, I think that's really good. Is Haaland playing tomorrow or not? I mean, I'm hoping he's playing today. Bench 1, Rodgers, Wood or Vardy. I mean, Vardy's got the fixture, so probably him over Wood, I guess. I had Rafinha. Yes. So I thought you meant like FPL then. But yeah, I had him in Champions League Fantasy. Best under 6.5 million forward, game week 7 to 10. 7 to, I mean, honestly, I'd probably still go Calvert-Lewin. I mean, Vardy does have really nice fixtures. Delap's fixtures are quite good. I mean, Calvert-Lewin, you've got Newcastle at home, Ipswich away, Fulham at home, Southampton away. I'd still go Calvert-Lewin, I think, honestly. As much as everyone hates him now and he hasn't done well the last couple. I missed the Thursday streams. Any chance you stream the game week preview? No chance I stream that. Thursday streams coming back? Very, very unlikely. They just weren't that popular. I don't want to do too much stuff in the evening if I don't have to, you know. Bench 2, Leif Davis, 8 Nuri, Konza. I'd play Leif Davis, and I would probably bench 8 Nuri over Konza. João Pedro, Tavares, Delap. If you're having to play João Pedro and he's injured, yes, I would sell him. If you could just bench him, I would just do that and not worry about the transfer. By the way, if you haven't already, make sure to give the stream a like and hit that subscribe button. On our way to 500k, miles off it, but getting closer. Getting closer. Sweet or salty popcorn? What about both? What about half and half? Would you start Timber? The thing is, there's probably a chance he's just on the bench. But I think if I had him and I didn't know, and it's Southampton home, I probably would have to. 3 free transfers. Wood to Solanke, Watkins to Havertz, Semenyo to Carvalho. Sorry. No, I don't. That doesn't seem like a great use of 3 transfers. Okay, Solanke is definitely better than Wood, but Watkins is fine. Semenyo is also fine this week. Do I think Luis Diaz will start? I think there's probably more chance that he starts than he doesn't, but I genuinely just do not know. I really can't make it any clearer. I just don't know. That's the honest answer. Paul, new member, thank you. Imagine Bruno gets another red. Honestly, I will, like I said earlier, I will genuinely find it funny right up until the point I have to stream, and then I just have to listen to too much nonsense. Like 2 red cards in a row, like 3 red cards in a row after getting none in like 240 games. Like, I don't even want to think about it. I'm confident on Chris Wood over Rodgers this week. I think that's fair. Yeah. I'm definitely starting Rodgers over Carvalho. Trent, Salah and Smith Rowe to Vardy, Foden, Saka for free. I'd say this is one problem with being able to bank so many transfers. You make moves like this, like selling Trent and Salah. I know it's away, so it's not going to be easy, but it just seems mad, doesn't it? I think the players on the right are probably better overall this week, and maybe for the next couple of weeks. But it could go wrong selling Trent and Salah. Do I have my YouTube play button? Yes. I think it's just under a box somewhere. I actually don't know where it is. It was propped up behind me to the left somewhere, but I've moved it. I don't know where it is. It's not hung up or anything. It's probably just under a box somewhere. Play Smith Rowe, move João Pedro to Vardy or Delap. I'd be tempted just to play Smith Rowe and roll, unless you think Delap is great. Start Porro or Vardy. I think if I had Vardy, I would start him. Ollie, new member, thank you. Vandenberg and Van der Ven, or Collins and Vandenberg and Van der Ven, or Collins and Vandenberg / Greaves on wildcard. I would probably go Van der Ven and Vandenberg, I think, because even if Vandenberg goes wrong, Van der Ven can be played quite a lot over the next few weeks. Favorite restaurant in Galway? I don't know. Don't go to any fancy restaurants. I like Oslo. Oslo food is good. I like Seven, actually. Like, Seven's not like... It's kind of casual, but it's always quick and it's always good. I think Seven... I wouldn't say it's underrated. People probably love it, but I think Seven's good. Bench 1, Wood, Cavallo and Rodgers, Diaz. Rodgers, I guess, with no more... I'd probably play Rodgers over Chris Wood, I think. Your posture isn't great, I know, because I'm the same. Yeah, but it's only like a couple of hours sat like this. I'll be up after this. Go for a walk later. What does a day in your life look like? Very uninteresting, to be honest with you. Not interesting enough to make videos on it, that's for sure. Do I have a favourite cheese? No. My brother is texting saying Diaz is benched according to Twitter. I don't have Twitter, so I can't verify. I haven't seen anything so far. It'd be all over this chat if we get any information. Like, if you're going to get it, it's probably within the next 20 minutes. Bench Carvalho or McNeil Carvalho. Watkins to Havertz for 1 week. I'd probably just keep Watkins rather than use the transfer. Thoughts on Raul Jimenez to continue to keep Muniz out? Definitely could happen. He's not on penalties, though. I think that'll be Andreas Pereira. But yeah, actually, Raul Jimenez should be considered as one of the cheap options alongside Delap. I guess the problem is, like, if he can drop Muniz that quick, could he just drop Jimenez if he has a couple of bad games? Maybe. But yeah, not bad. But he's also got Man City away this week. Have a leak Sharda starts. Would you start him over Rodgers? I don't know if I would. He might get hooked early. Bench one of Rodgers, McNeil, and Calvert-Lewin. I'm going to say Rodgers, but I don't like it. Wow, streams when? Do you know what? If I was going to stream games, this was the week to do it because I had the house to myself for a lot of it. And I still just didn't do it. So I think it's just never going to happen. It's never going to happen. I think I'd rather do some kind of YouTube video or like a podcast or something. But everyone's got a freaking podcast. Like, I'm not that interesting either. So I should do something else alongside FPL. I just don't know what it is. And if you don't have like a massive interest in something, it's hard to like get motivated for it. Like FPL went well because I had a genuine like interest in it and loved it. And it was new as well. I didn't have like anything else. But to do another thing now, it's just, I find it so difficult to start something else. Man United, I don't know if I've got that much interest in talking about Man United full time, to be honest with you. Team up with someone for a podcast. But I don't necessarily want to talk about football either. Yeah, I don't know. One day. Have Vandenberg as bench if Luis Diaz doesn't start. Do you think Vandenberg will play? I think there's a good chance, but you can't guarantee it, right? Talking about Man United full-time may cause severe depression. Possibly, yeah. I enjoyed Let's Talk Football. I know, but like it's, I don't know. I've mentioned this before. I have to have like a routine and consistency to do stuff, and I just don't know if I've got it in me to be consistent on a second football channel. Honestly, part of the reason I love FPL is because it basically just writes itself every week. I don't even have to think about it. You know, a bunch of players score well this week. People are thinking about transferring them in. That's the players I've got to talk about. Like it's just simple, you know. I'm not like a massive creative mind or anything like that, so I find it really difficult to start something else. Delap and Saka or Jackson and Diaz? Probably Delap and Saka this week. Nothing on Diaz yet. Still, thoughts on Ain't Yuri and Cunha? I like them, but I think the real time you want them is game week 10 onwards, not necessarily now. Cricket podcast. I haven't watched cricket for like much. For a long time. Sounds like you're in a comfort zone. Yeah, absolutely right. And like that's the thing. You're much more likely to do something if you're not comfortable. Like part of the reason I was so massively trying to get FPL to work was because I didn't want to do my old job. I don't have that now, right? I've got a really cool job. I don't necessarily need anything else. So it's harder to find that motivation. You're right. I'm in a comfort zone. Absolutely. Don't deny it. And so to get that motivation to do something else every day that's like new, that's starting from the ground up, it's like, you know, I like playing games, but do I like them enough to stream them? You know, I like football, but do I like it enough to talk about it every week? You know, I like going to the gym, but I'm not a gym professional. I can't make videos around it, you know. What order for Calvert-Lewin, Wood, Vardy, or Delap? I would probably say Calvert-Lewin. I keep saying bench Wood, and I'm not sure it's a great option, but probably Calvert-Lewin, Vardy, Delap, Wood this week. Just hope that Chelsea defence is good. Maddison out for Semenyo. Oh, Duran. No, I wouldn't get rid of Maddison. No chance. Is Højlund or Duran to replace João Pedro? I'd probably, if we're talking draft, I'd probably go Højlund because I think he's more likely to start. But if Duran's ever going to get a start, it's this week. Rodgers to Hall tomorrow and Bruno to be sent off 3 games in a row. Could happen, yeah. Could happen. How old am I? I'm really old. I'm really old. When's your turn on FPL therapy? I live in Ireland, so it's difficult. Like, I mean, it's not literally difficult to get over to London. It's quite easy. You just jump on a flight. But do you know what I mean? It's like it's 2 days. You know, I'm not going to go London and back in the same day. Oh, Jack, you didn't like. I did like my old job, but what I hated was the commute. That's what I really hated. That's what really got me in the end. Is not only was I having to commute, but my son was also having to go to a childminder. I just didn't like it. So once I knew that FPL was getting close to be full time, I was adamant that was going to be it. Actually, yeah, I like my old job. If I had to go back to a normal job, I wouldn't mind going back to that. Although I don't think I get back in now. Wildcard game week 8 to catch price rises, or game week 12 for Arsenal fixtures. I mean, if the team looks fine, I wouldn't worry about price changes. I'd say for the average FPL team, 12 is probably better than 8, but it's not a definitive thing. Like 8 might work better for your team. Am I Irish? Yeah. You're not tell by the accent. What was your old job? I was like doing forums for EA basically, mostly on FIFA, because it was like FIFA was it's such a big game. Like it was mostly that. There was a couple of other games I looked after, but they were kind of small time compared to FIFA. Do I start Conza or Leaf Davis? I think if I had Leaf Davis this week and Conza, I'd start Davis. You don't have an Irish accent? No, come on. I thought you used to work in Dixon's. I did before EA. That was a long time ago, though. Did I have the Skulls avatar? Yeah, EA Andy was me. There's an EA factory in Galway. Factory is such a weird way to describe it, but it was an old factory, yeah. Yeah, EA Andy on the forums with the Skulls avatar. That was me. If you've been on the EA forums, I've probably banned you at some point, yeah. Am I a programmer? No, far from it. I wouldn't have a clue where to start. These days, that EA job would be work from home. Yeah, probably. Anyway, I think any EA chat we'll probably just save until afterwards. We're getting off the point. Everything you're doing is great. Cheers, Daryl. Appreciate it. Number 1 FPL? Definitely not. Not in terms of overall rank, that's for sure. Martin, 18 months. I'm doing good. How are you? What do you think of Diaz to Brennan and Mikalenko to Vardy for free? Quite like it, yeah. If we know he's benched, I think that's quite good. Obviously, you're shifting money around there from attacking to defence, so just keep that in mind. Like, it might affect your future moves, but overall, quite like it. How did I get into EA? To be honest with you, I got pretty lucky. A friend that I used to work with at Curry's they posted on Facebook to say like first day of working at EA or I'm working at EA now, love it. And I messaged him straight away. I said, how'd you get a job at EA? And they said it's customer service stuff. They're recruiting loads of people right now. You'd almost certainly get in. So I applied and then I went. That's it. Started working on Star Wars: The Old Republic. It was BioWare originally, and then EA took over the whole thing. And then it was multiple games. Punting with triple captain Saka this week. Thoughts? Not probably where I would go, but good luck with it. I don't think it's completely terrible. It's not lucky to work for EA. It was great working for EA. Really enjoyed it, to be honest. And dealing with the FIFA community is always fun, right? They're lovely people. Lovely, rational people. Who do you think will be the biggest FPL creator in the next couple of years? I don't know, to be honest. But it'll probably be someone on YouTube because it's just easier to get bigger on YouTube than it is podcast only. You sound a bit West Country rather than Irish. Yeah, I'm not Irish, for what it's worth. Just in case anyone didn't realise that on their own. Got some news that Jota starts and Szoboszlai is probably benched for some reason. No clue about Diaz or Gakpo. Yeah, again, I've not seen any concrete news yet, so I'm not really... Yeah, Grizz Khan, the guy that leaked Jota earlier, has put out a guess for the lineup. Now, whether that means that's actually a leak and he just wants to say it's a guess, I don't know. But he's got Diaz in the lineup, so Diaz owners, you might be in for a big score this week. Any Arsenal defenders news? Who's likely to start? Calafiori is almost certainly going to start. I think Gabriel Saliba after that. I'm not sure. Thinking of swapping Salah to Palmer for 1 week, I'd probably just keep Salah in your free transfer, to be honest with you. Smith Rowe and Robinson to Lewis and Johnson -4 or 1 free. Yeah, I would just do 1 for free, I think. I wouldn't take a -4 to get Lewis. I don't know if Diaz is starting. Again, my assumption would be he's more likely to start than be benched. Old Republic is amazing. I've not played it for a very long time. Very long time. Darwin Nunez to start seems unlikely to me. Start 2 of Diaz, McNeil, Semenyo. Probably Diaz and Semenyo, I think. Sorry, typing. What were we thinking about Diaz? Okay, I've just answered that. Got a feeling Gakpo and Diaz will start. Seems unlikely if Jota's going to start, but maybe. Is Saka getting your arm back? Nope, definitely Haaland for me. Nobody questions if Salah starts. He's played all game. Yeah, but Salah is different. Like, Salah is a different animal compared to Diaz. Come on, we know that. Like I've said this a lot of times now, I think Diaz is more likely to start than not, right? If you've got him, you should probably hold him. But he's not the same level of nailedness as Salah. Like, not many players are. And also remember, Diaz hasn't started all games anyway. He got benched in the Champions League, right? And yeah, they don't really have a right wing backup. Chiesa might not even be available either. And I think he's mostly played on the left anyway when he's come on. The way Man United are playing, Rodgers will make you pay again. Yeah, quite possibly, yeah. If Diaz doesn't start, do I bench him and play Rodgers or move to Johnson? I'd probably just play Rodgers, honestly. I think that's fine. And then decide what to do next week. You might want to keep Diaz next week. I'm so confused as to whether captain Salah or Palmer. I want to go Palmer as a differential, but Salah's more skill. I think Palmer's fine if you want to go for him. Would you do Diaz to Johnson if the bench player is dibbling? Probably, yeah. Hold Fulkrug, 12-man draft on Sleeper. Have Isak, Harrison, Carvalho and Duran. I guess so, unless there's a good attacker you can move on. Like, he hasn't played at all, he hasn't started at all. He's injured. I'm not even sure. I don't even know if he gets into that West Ham team. Curtis Jones starts, so no Szoboszlai. Okay. Lots of people saying Curtis Jones starts. I've not seen where that's come from, but I'm going to assume you're correct. Thoughts on Diaz to Foden, but both minutes risks. I think Foden, because of the fixtures come up, is probably the slightly better option, but he's also more expensive, right? Less than 90 minutes to the deadline, by the way. I'm going Saka instead of Haaland this week. Fortune favours the brave. Yeah, I think Saka's great. If we do not have a Diaz league, should we keep Diaz in the starting 11? I probably would. Probably would. Vagabond, thank you. Play 2 of Calvert-Lewin, Wood or Rodgers. I'd maybe bench Chris Wood, but I wouldn't be happy about it. Honestly, Chris Wood's going to score, isn't he? And he's probably going to score a penalty, which will make it even worse. Play 2, Lewis, Eze, Rodgers, got Vardio starting. I'd probably bench Lewis out of them, honestly. Because there is a risk he doesn't start. Just woke up, Salah or Palmer as captain. Flip a coin. Honestly, I'd probably go Salah, but I think Palmer's also great. There's no news on Diaz yet. No confirmed news. Red Memorabilia. There's an account with 17,000 followers that's got Gakpo starting. I don't know if it's legit. I just don't know. Maybe it is. Can anyone tell me how good that Twitter account is? Oh, hang on. Now Grizz Khan is. I don't know. He hasn't. Okay, hang on. I'm trying to figure it out now. I don't know. I can't. Who's tweeted that though? Is that Red Memorabilia account legit? I don't know. Another FPL leaks account said Gakpo starts. Diaz and 4.5 million striker to McNeil and Solanke and bench Rodgers. If it's for free, maybe, yeah. I'm seeing a lot of Diaz bench news. Where from, though? Oh, Anfield Insights as well. I'm surprised about this because I'm sure I was reliably informed by the comments that Diaz just couldn't be benched. I'm surprised he's benched. That Anfield Insights account, by the way, it's been right a lot of the times, but it has been wrong before. But there's a lot of noise now that Diaz is probably benched. I'm not really sure what account I'm waiting for to say it's definitely confirmed. FPL Focal says Diaz benched. Okay. Strange. I definitely thought he couldn't get benched. Definitely thought he couldn't get benched. Am I rolling? Yes. Do you know what the really frustrating thing is, right? Because it's the first. I know a lot of people bought Diaz because it was the first game of this week, so you were likely to get news. But most people are just going to play Rodgers now if they got him on the bench, and he's going to outscore Bruno. So going for no Diaz, that was a good choice. Going for Bruno Fernandes, not so much. Yeah, Focal's tweeted the Red Memorabilia page, so maybe it's legit. But I don't know. Maybe he'll play. Maybe he'll still play. I don't know. Start Colwill or Rico Lewis? I think if you've got Rico Lewis, you've probably got to start him, but I'm not convinced he's going to play. Sorry, I'm just messaging Luke to tell him that Diaz is benched. Or probably benched. Diaz, Jackson to Palmer and a 4.5 for -4. It's probably an okay long term. I don't think you need to take the -4 though. Eze and Matoma for Trossard Johnson -4 or just one. I would just do one. Start Eze or Greaves. Eze. Diaz or Carvalho if Diaz benched. Carvalho, I would say. Diaz probably scores a better brace of that. Diaz will probably outscore Fernandes. Whatever happens. I love something on Rico Lewis. Yeah, I think in most cases, if you've got Diaz, and it looks quite likely now that he's going to get benched. It looks like he's going to get benched. I would just play whoever you've got on the bench. I'm not sure I would start taking hits. I'm so like, do you know what, that Diaz benching just makes me way more annoyed about Bruno's red card. I feel like it was a good decision to dodge Luis Diaz on wildcard, and it just got no benefit for it whatsoever. I'm 4 points behind, and everyone's got the news that he's out anyway. And now he's got Chelsea at home and Arsenal away, so I really don't mind not having him. If he's benched, of course. It sounds like he probably is. Son is out, yeah. Diaz, Watkins to Palmer, Calvert-Lewin for -4. Don't hate it. Yeah, don't hate it. Yes, I'm rolling. Yeah, I answered that question already. Yeah. It'd be funny if he starts still, and all these team leaks are wrong. And then I'll have to go back to not being sarcastic. You should put this stream on podcast. Also saves people's batteries having to listen via YouTube. I don't think many people listen to this after it's done. Play Conzer or Smith Rowe. I'd probably play Smith Rowe. Diaz to Madison / Johnson, or just play Wood Collins. You could just play Wood, I think. But buying, you're gonna have. I think with Diaz, you've got Chelsea at home, Arsenal away, and now you know, like if he's benched this, I got to keep saying if. Then you know it's possible he could get benched in the future. So how long do you want to keep hold of him for? Imagine if Bruno Fernandes is benched. Do you think Trent is essential? No. Play Lewis or Rodgers? Rodgers. Got just over 10 minutes. Yeah, look, fair enough. There's some people that listen to these afterwards. I'm not going to bother putting them on podcast, I'm afraid. I don't think it makes much sense. Diaz to Mbermo for -4. Who have you got on the bench? Like, if you've got someone good on the bench, just play them instead. But Mbermo is a good long-term pick. All these team leaks, it's only one. Yeah, true. It could be wrong, but I don't know. It probably isn't. I really don't know. What did I say? One blank, one benching, everyone will panic. One blank, one benching, everyone will panic. It's exactly what's happened. That's like the only thing I've got right all season. Again, would be quite funny if he plays now after all this panic. Like, it is just one account that's tweeted it. As Alex mentions. Start Aina, Fass, or Mikalenko. Probably Fass, I think. Gordon is going under the radar. I think he's an okay short-term pick. Mentioned him earlier. Yeah, so just to confirm, all my stuff does go on podcast apart from the deadline stream. So I do have a podcast for all my other stuff. Shame he didn't apply the same to Rico Lewis. But he started, didn't he? Although, yeah, fair enough. I think the difference with Rico Lewis is a lot cheaper. But you're right. I think that probably will end up being a mistake. And I kind of wish I hadn't done it. Start Wood or Rodgers. Rodgers for me. Diaz and Trent to Palmer and Mikalenko for free. I don't mind it, but I wouldn't get Mikalenko. He's out this week, apparently. Who's more likely to get 2+ goals this week, Saka or Palmer? I still think it's Saka because it's Southampton, to be honest. Would you take Diaz, Trent out for a -4, Palmer and Van der Ven in? -4, like, I don't hate it. I guess that's all I can say. I'm not a big fan of -4s, but, and especially when you have to get rid of Trent as part of it, but long term it's probably a good move. Bring in Foden or Johnson. I mean, there's a big difference in price, right? Foden will probably score more points the next 3 or 4, but Johnson might enable a bigger move elsewhere. I think the big pull for Foden is that he's a massive differential right now, and you will get on ahead of the curve. No need to get rid of Diaz. If Liverpool scores against Chelsea and Arsenal, Diaz will probably be involved. If he starts, of course. Would you do Eze to Martinelli for free? I probably wouldn't, no. I think Martinelli's good this week. Like, he's not bad, but the fixtures are going to get a little bit trickier for Arsenal coming up. If you want to go for someone else, go for Brennan. Should I play Rodgers or do Diaz to Maddison, which was my plan for 8 anyway? I'd probably just play Rodgers and reassess after the break with 2 free transfers. Am I right in saying Palace defensive injuries, Salah captain? I think they've maybe got the odd player injured. I can't quite remember, to be honest. I don't think it will suddenly make Salah like the best captain, though. I think, I don't think they have got many injuries. I think it's, is it Richards? Yeah. But they've got Gay, Lacroix, and is Chalobah fit as well? There's no Man City leaks that I've seen. Haaland or Palmer captain? Haaland for me. Two weeks ago, I was telling mates why I avoid players like Jota and Diaz. Fast forward, they've both been bench/headaches. Yeah, but and sometimes it doesn't work out though, right? Because Jota's got quite a few returns as well, and Diaz has absolutely smashed it. So if you've had him since the start, you really probably don't care less that he's been benched this week because you've got so many points. Diaz, Trent to Palmer, €8 for free. Smith Rowe on the bench. Again, don't mind it. It seems suddenly very quick that everyone wants to sell Trent, but I get it. I really do, especially with the next 2 fixtures. I mean, Jota hasn't been that much of a headache, but he has been benched, right? I guess the thing with Jota is and I guess Diaz to a certain extent now as well, you've been able to guess the rotation mostly. Like, if they've not started in the Champions League, they've played again. Like, 4 returns for Jota in 5 games. It's still nice, right? It's better than Bruno. It's better than Eze. What do you think of Havertz as captain? It's fine. Like, like in Burma, right? He's the tier down from Haaland, Saka, Salah, Palmer, etc. Diaz to Maddison. Yeah, Maddison's a nice pick. Thoughts on Wolves players on a wild card? Don't mind them at all. Like Yuri Cunha. Just keep Diaz on the pitch. Not sure about. It depends who you've got on the bench. Like, he probably will get 20 or 30 minutes. If he is benched, he'll probably get 20 or 30 minutes. Palmer is the best player in the Premier League right now. He's guaranteed at least 2 goals or assists. Look, Palmer might be the best player in the Premier League right now. But again, no one was saying that before this week. Like, he is great. Again, he's amazing. I feel like I've got to confirm that every time. Best player in the league, essential, definitely scoring 2 goals. I don't know. I hate that I consider pool players for wildcard 6. Yeah, I kind of regret Trent a little bit, but mostly because of Palmer's 4 goals. It's a bit hindsighty. Eze to Johnson, sure. Don't mind that. Dibbling and Vardy or McNeil and Lewis. Probably McNeil and Lewis, but Lewis might not play. That's the problem. Wood up top in a 3 or Semenyo. I'll go Semenyo over Wood, I think. Diaz to Johnson or bench Diaz and play Wood. Just play Wood probably. 2 free transfers, Bruno and Trent to Foden and Porro. Yeah, quite like that. Trent and Pau Torres to Calafiori and Lewis for a -4 hit. I wouldn't take a hit to bring Lewis in. Start Greaves or Robinson. Greaves. You've got less than 4 minutes to lock your teams in, so don't forget. I'm absolutely locked. I'm mega locked. Ultra locked. Yeah, Diaz apparently benched. And so is Szoboszlai. Rodgers or McNeil? I'm going to say McNeil. That could hurt. Grizz is a failed in the nose. Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe. Well, he tweeted a guess and then deleted the guess. I think sometimes the problem with leaks is they are often just coming from one place and everyone's tweeting it as if they've got the news. But I don't know what's going on with Liverpool stuff, but that could be happening here. One account's tweeted it, so the rest of them are tweeting it as well. So then you don't know whether the noise is legit or they're just all copying one person. Like, could Diaz still start? Possibly. Jackson to Solanke or wait till next week? I'd probably wait. Diaz starts at centre-back. Van Dijk dropped. No Chelsea players. Correct. I've got no Chelsea players. That's a good spot. John Duran, remember the name. I don't think you can say remember the name when the guy scored like loads of goals off the bench, including against Bayern Munich in a 1-0 1-0 win. I'm not sure you can say remember the name, like as if we don't know who he is. Him and Watkins are going to be a problem. Yeah, probably. They'll probably beat Man United. Cole Palmer, remember the name. Remember the name. Konza or Lewis? I think you've got to play Lewis. He's probably getting benched. There's part of me that just wants to put Pinnock in, honestly. Just put Pinnock in. Just bench Lewis. Erling Haaland, remember the name. I mean, to be fair, John Duran's not quite at that level. I get it, but come on, you can't say remember the name. Remember him. He's the only name I've heard the last few weeks. All the goals off the bench. Mo Salah, remember the name. Got less than a minute and a half. I'm going to have to... I've got to do a quick random name generator for the sleeper picks. I think 2 people got 9 correct scores last week. Barco, I'll never forget Barco's name. Bruno Fernandes. Oh, Fernandes, just get me something. Just 1 assist. 1 assist, 1 bonus. I'll take it now. Honestly, I'll take it. 1 assist, 1 bonus. Aston Villa, you're going to smash us. I know, but... Right. I'm locked. Got less than a minute to go. If you haven't already, by the way, hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit that like button as well. Much appreciated. Trying to hit 500,000 subscribers. 500,000. Rodgers on the bench. Yes, I'm going to massively regret it. Yeah, I'm going to massively regret it. Bench Diaz and put Smith Rowe on. It's not terrible, I guess. I'd almost rather just sell someone in that situation. I think. Villa exhausted themselves against Bayern. Man United played later though, right? So Villa have had an extra day's rest over Man United. Imagine if Diaz starts now. It's going to be so funny. Oh, it's going to be so funny. I'm just going to find my picks second. We're locked. Another deadline. Locked in. There we go. Let me just put this on Do Not Disturb. Do Not Disturb. Sleeper. Match day 6. EA Andy with the skulls. Remember the name. EA Andy. That was me. That was me. Business Cat. Wildcard 7 locked. Nice. I really need to pee. Not going to lie to you. Okay. Let me just check this is working. So if I go to studio mode and go to... Yeah. Okay. Oh, no. What? Oh, yeah. Okay, so if I just go to the sleeper pick. So if you haven't already checked out sleeper, it's completely free. Links in the description below. I'm going to do my picks in a minute because I haven't done them yet. But I've got 2 people that I need to add to... Sorry, to do a draw for to see who's won the Premier League shirt of their choice for Game Week 6. So it's this person and FPL Giraffe, who got 9 as well. So I'm just going to do this. Giraffe. And then hopefully, in fact, if I just quickly go back to this screen, I should really set this up before I start streaming. Okay. We're on the wheel. So one of these 2 people is winning a Premier League shirt of their choice. Let's see who it is. It's FPL Giraffe. It's FPL Giraffe. Congratulations. I will be DMing you in just a minute after this stream. Yeah. That's it, basically. If you want to play, it's not too late to sign up. Whoever gets the most predictions correct between Game Weeks 4 and 7 will get AirPods. And if it's a tie, I'll do a draw on the Game Week 8 deadline stream. Obviously, it's very unlikely you're going to win that now because a lot of people have scored a lot of points. But for Game Week 7 specifically, whoever gets the most will win a Premier League shirt of their choice. And obviously, if it's a tie, I will do a draw for that as well. I'm just going to quickly get my picks locked in because I haven't done them yet. So... Liverpool without Diaz. I'm going to go Liverpool. Arsenal definitely. Oh, Liverpool win. Brentford to beat Wolves. Bournemouth to beat Leicester. Semenyo, come on. West Ham to get their first. Is it the first win of the season? Either way, West Ham to beat Ipswich. City to beat Fulham, even though Fulham are so good defensively. A draw between Everton and Newcastle. I'm going to go Man United win because I always do. Chelsea to beat Forest and Spurs to beat Brighton. That's going to be my predictions. The link to sign up is in the description below. That's all you have to do. It's completely free. There's loads of other stuff in the app as well to check out. And whoever gets the most predictions right will get Premier League shirt of their choice. I've already sent one person a Man United shirt. I've ordered an Arsenal shirt for someone else. And then, yeah, we'll just go from there. So that's it for Sleeper. Like I said, link in the description below. Get your picks done before the first game today. And that is my team locked in. It's international break now, so we'll have the knee-joke stream tomorrow. I'll probably do early thoughts on Monday, and then that will probably be it for about a week. Reasonable as always, excluding the Man United pick. I've got to go for Man United, right? So, I can't win anyway. So, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that, please do give it a like. Much appreciated as always. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and enjoy the week. Enjoy the Bruno Fernandes red card, and I will catch you again tomorrow. I'll see you then. Enjoy the weekend.